Hey, what's up guys? It's your friendly neighborhood Dasher, and it is now 2026. I hope everyone had a happy new year, and I'm really excited to see what this year brings. But aside from that, there's something that I've been wanting to discuss, and that is burnout. If you had been doing DoorDash throughout the holiday season, which obviously that's the busiest season, so most likely you were, then you probably were working more hours, meaning that you were working more days, meaning that most likely speaking, you were probably making bank, but you were also feeling a little bit of burnout. And especially now that it's the slow season, it might seem like a never-ending cycle. You go from making, let's say, $200 to $300 a day to now making barely $200, and you feel like everything's just slowing down. And well, since it is a slow season, a lot of people during this season either quit DoorDash or decide, hey, it's not worth it to do DoorDash anymore. I wanted to get into how to deal with burnout, whether or not burnout is actually real, and just overall how to deal with the slow season, because it is going to get even slower the more and more that this month goes on and the first part of the year goes on. So first, what is burnout? For those of you who don't know what burnout is or have never really felt it, burnout is essentially where you work or you do something so much so that you start to become tired of it. You start to feel like overwhelmed by it. You just don't want to do it anymore. You just stop having fun with it. A lot of people that experience burnout usually are people who have been doing the same thing repetitively for a very long time over the course of like multiple days, weeks, or months. And a lot of people who do DoorDash or any sort of gig app really will experience burnout. I've experienced burnout with DoorDash. It's one of the reasons why I've kind of switched from doing DoorDash to then doing Spark. On top of that, I also do feel sometimes burnout from Spark as well. I work anywhere from about 12 to 14 hours a day. So for me, it's a case of, even with me only working 12 to 14 hours over the course of 5 days, so anywhere from like 60 to 70 hours, I'm still working so much so that it makes it feel terrible. Like, it makes me feel bad, and it makes me have to prioritize working over doing other hobbies. And that's where burnout really starts. And that's kind of the first thing that I want to get into with burnout and how to deal with it, is taking breaks. You cannot, as a person, as a human, consistently be working multiple 14-hour work days every single day, every single week for months on end. Sure, you might be able to do it for a month. Sure, you might be able to do it for 2 months. But the more and more that you continue to do that, the more you're actually just going to end up hurting your mental state and your physical state. The worst thing that you can do to yourself is not give yourself time to heal, whether that be physically or mentally. I always recommend that even if you are doing gig work, you should always at least have one day off during the week where you're not doing anything. This could be any day during the week. I typically take mine off on Wednesdays, although I have been incorporating Tuesdays as well. So I take, for me, 2 days off during the week. This just allows me time to really kind of focus on things that I want to do other than just doing DoorDash or Spark. And on top of that, this also gives me the ability to really plan for things. If I know I'm going to always have Tuesday and Wednesday off from work, with the exception of holidays, like for example, if a holiday falls on like a Wednesday, I still will work. It allows me to plan things. I know that I'm always going to have Tuesday and Wednesday off. So any sort of little plans or anything when it comes to friends, family, or like even grocery shopping, I can always plan it for one of those 2 days, since those are the 2 days that I'm going to have off. Another thing to deal with burnout is switch up your apps. If you're not having fun doing DoorDash, if DoorDash is just not giving you good orders, you're waiting long times within like a parking lot, or just overall you've been doing it so much to where it's not fun anymore, switch it up. Try doing Uber Eats, try doing Spark, try going to a different zone. Hell, if you live like on state lines, for example, maybe try dashing a different state. You never know what one state can bring versus another state. Just because my state does well for me doesn't mean that the next person who dashes in my state is going to do the exact same. And this also goes with hours. During the slow season especially, reduce your hours. Mainly focus on peak times, things like lunch and dinner, because those are the times that are actually going to be giving you the most money. We're talking anywhere from like 11 to 2 or from 4 to 8. Both of those like 4-hour time frames should give you the most amount of money, even if it is the slow season. And if you're in a zone where you're not seeing big peak time or like big pay during those peak times, especially during dinner rush, then that zone might be actually dead for the slow season, and it might be better for you to try a different zone. Take time to really get to learn something new. with your app. If you're not used to doing shop and delivers, maybe try turning on shop and delivers. If you usually don't do, let's say, Uber Eats, then go on to Uber Eats. Try Earn by Time. If you do, DoorDash, or with Spark, try doing another store location. It always helps to at least try to make some variation within whatever gig app you work. Even if you're just doing DoorDash, there's so many things that you can try doing with DoorDash that you wouldn't think to do during the rest of the year. One app and one mode of, or one preference of what to do is going to limit your not only money, time. It's going to feel like even worse because you're only going to be making, let's say, $10 an hour, and when half of that goes to gas, then you're basically losing money with every dash that you do. And lastly, I want to get into, is the slow season and or burnout, with people leaving, is this kind of real? Is this an actual thing that happens to dashers? And yes, a lot of people, a lot of dashers, especially who are new, will look at themselves and be like, I will never experience burnout. I will never get tired. This is some easy money, Come a month from now, 2 months from now, hell, even a year from now, you might look back on yourself when you first started and been like, I guess I was really wrong, because burnout is very real, and this is a very real thing, and I don't think a lot of people give themselves credit. A lot of people that I know who don't do DoorDash will look at DoorDash and be like, oh, well, it's an easy job. All you're doing is delivering food, or all you're doing is a quick shop, or all you're doing is going from point A to point B. You're not really doing work per se. You're not out here doing construction or something, or you're not out here hoisting packages like an Amazon. DoorDash is a lot of driving. It is a lot of mental strain because you are trying to make a good income, especially if you do this full time and it isn't a part-time income. A lot of people that I know who work full-time on DoorDash don't just work 40 hours. Most of us work somewhere between 50 and 60 hours if we're only doing DoorDash as our primary. For me, since I only work about 60, 70 hours as a whole with all my gig apps, I only dedicate about half of that time, so about 30 hours, to doing DoorDash, and the rest is to doing Spark. If you're constantly working all day, DoorDashing at night just to get some extra money, you'll still experience burnout. And during the slow season, there will be, and let me know in the comments if you're one of these people, where you feel like it just might not be worth it to do DoorDash anymore. It's 2026 now, and it seems like every single year, DoorDash has been slowly getting worse, whether it be policy changes, whether it be income changes for people, whether it be orders, or even just oversaturation as a whole. DoorDash is not the same as it was a year ago, 5 years ago, even a month ago. And I'm not even just talking about it being peak season. I'm just saying the orders. I remember back in 2024 peak season compared to this one, 2024, I easily brought home somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000 just within the month of December alone. This year, only about 4,000 to 5,000. That's $1,000 less. And while everyone might think oh, you're still bringing in $5,000, it's still the principle. I lose $1,000 last year. Who's to say this year that I'm going to bring, home $5,000 come Christmas, I struggle to understand people when they say things like that, because it's the same thing with work. Just because your job gives you stable hourly, and just because your job gives you a stable amount of hours, doesn't mean that my job is invalid just because I can choose when I work and my job is not as taxing. It's still the same principle. I am still working around 50, minimum of 50 hours a week, on average about 60 to 70. For me personally, I'm working that still, even if it's not me lugging 50-pound packages every 5 seconds. For people who are thinking about quitting DoorDash or quitting gig work, you are not alone. There are so many people within the gig work space who are quitting. You can go on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any sort of social media app, and you can see videos and posts and just comments about people saying that 2026 is the year that they quit, or 2025 was the last year they're going to work, or, that they're reducing their hours. And hell, you might even see people who stay on the platform but just don't care to push for platinum anymore. Because honestly, in some markets, platinum isn't even worth it. In my market, for example, platinum, I literally spent a year on platinum, trying to push for platinum, trying to maintain platinum, stressing myself out about the acceptance rate. And when I finally just decided, hey, I'm going to do silver, I'm going to just stay in silver and call it a day and just schedule, as a matter of fact, it didn't change my income much. Like I still to this day thought that I was going to be losing so much of my income by being knocked down to silver. In reality, I lose maybe $5 to $10 a day. Like, it's not enough to where I'm being like, oh, I need to push for platinum. And even if it's a case of $5 to $10 a day, what, an additional $200 less I am making on DoorDash by being silver than being platinum, when I could easily make that amount of money doing just Spark. So before quitting, just make sure that it is the right decision for you, but also try experimenting with another app or with another tier. If you're platinum status on DoorDash, try seeing if getting knocked down to silver actually is more beneficial to you. Try cherry picking more, or even just try switching up your apps. Like I was saying before, to how to deal with burnout. A lot of people who are going to be quitting this season are dealing with burnout, and I want to make sure that anyone who decides to quit from gig work or from DoorDash, or decides to reduce their hours, is doing so in the not only the right state of mind, but also just making the best decision for them, the most rational decision, and just overall prioritizing themselves and their income, their happiness, their money, whatever, to make sure that this gig app and this gig economy works for them. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, are you suffering from burnout? Is this slow season like really kind of getting to you? Even though it's only been a couple days into January, to me it's still like a big thing with burnout and with the slow season. Like right now, I mean, it's gonna be crazy. I'm hoping that it's still at least decent money throughout the slow season, and I will see you in the next one.